All right, guys. Overall, we had a bad time with this quiz, so I want to make sure that you guys know how to do all the problems. I'm going to show you all the problems. I want you to work them out with me and bring them in. So when I look at this, simplify means that I'm not finding an answer for x. That word automatically tells me I'm not finding an answer for x. It also tells me to state the restrictions. That's the easiest part. Just set the denominator equal to 0 and solve. If x is -1, the denominator is 0. I can't divide by 0, so x cannot be -1. These are already a common denominator, so I'm just going to combine like terms. X squared, there's no other x squared, so it's x squared. X plus -2x is -x. -2 plus 2 is 0. Over, denominator stays the same when you're adding. So this is my answer, number 1. Should go that fast. Number 2, they do not have a common denominator, so I'm going to factor this one out. This is x plus 3, x minus 3. I'm going to state my restrictions. My restrictions are that x cannot be -3 from this and cannot be +3 from this. Now, in order to have a common denominator, I need to change this one. This one's already good. So x minus 3 over x plus 3, x minus 3. That's already good. This x minus 3 over here, I need to multiply it by x plus 3 to make it the same. The only way I can multiply something in an expression is to multiply by 1. So I'm going to multiply the top by x plus 3 as well. That way I'm only multiplying by 1. So now they have a common denominator, I can combine them. I'm going to simplify my denominator to be x squared minus 9. I'm going to expand this to be x squared plus 6x plus 9. And this one over here isn't going to change. Denominator is going to expand to x squared minus 9. So now I'm going to combine like terms, but this time I'm subtracting. So I have nothing minus x squared is -x squared. X minus 6x is -5x. -3 minus 9 is -12 over x squared minus 9. So the answer to this one is this right here. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going with these. Simple so far. Number 3, multiplication. Multiplication, I'm trying to factor and then cancel. So two things that multiply to 8 and add to 6, that's going to be 4 and 2. Difference of two squares, that's going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. Difference of two squares, that's going to be x plus 4, x minus 4. Remember, with multiplication, I can just extend the fraction bar. That cancels, and there's nothing else that can cancel. So I have x minus 2 over, I'm going to expand this, x squared plus 8x plus 16. Restrictions make any portion of the denominator equal to 0. So it can't be -4, it can't be -2, can't be -4, and can't be +4. And that's the answer for number 3. That quick. Number 4, this is a fraction divided by another fraction. So that means that really I have x cubed plus 8 over x squared plus 4x plus 4 divided by x squared plus 2x plus 4 over x squared minus 4. When I divide by a fraction, I flip it and I multiply. Now when it's multiplication, I can just continue the fraction bar across. I need to factor things, so this is going to be x plus 2, x squared minus 2x plus 4. This is going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. This is going to be x plus 2, x plus 2. And this, I can't factor it out, so it's going to be x squared plus 2x plus 4. X plus 2, those cancel. X plus 2, x plus 2, those cancel. I can't do anything else with these guys, so I'm going to distribute this out. It's going to give me x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 8. I'm going to combine like terms. X cubed minus 4x squared plus 8x minus 8 over, this stays the same. Now when I'm talking about the restrictions on division, where we're starting from, anything that was on the bottom of the fraction. This is on the bottom, this is on the bottom, and this is on the bottom. This factored to x plus 2 times x plus 2, so x cannot be negative 2. This is going to give me imaginary, so I don't need to worry about it. And this gives me x plus 2, x minus 2. So this is also going to give me a positive 2. So this is my final answer on that one. Number 5, I need to factor it out before I start doing anything else. So it's going to become x cubed times x squared minus 9, which is going to become x cubed times x plus 3, x minus 3, over. This factored is going to be x plus 3, x plus 2. Those guys cancel out. So my zeros are going to be at 0 from this, 3 from this. My vertical asymptote is going to be at x equals negative 2. This canceled out, so that gives me a whole at x is negative 3. Horizontal asymptote, this is higher than this, so I'm not going to have one. Slant asymptote, I'm going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So x to the 5 minus 9x cubed, x squared plus 5x. And I know I told you guys you didn't have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. So this divided by this is x cubed. Distribute. I'm going to subtract all of this. Those cancel out. I don't have any x to the 4s down here, so it's going to be negative 15x to the 4. Negative 9 minus 6 is negative 15x cubed. Well, that shouldn't. Oh, yeah, that's right. This should be 5, not 15. Whoops. That should be 5. So negative 5x to the 4. My apologies. Now I'm going to divide this by this, which is going to give me negative 5x squared. I'm going to distribute that. Negative 5x to the 4 minus 25x to the 3 minus 30x squared. Put it in parentheses so I make sure that I subtract it. Those cancel out. Negative 15 minus negative 25 is going to give me plus 10x to the 3rd. Nothing minus negative 30x squared is going to give me plus 30x squared. Divide this by this, gives me 10x. Distribute that, 10x cubed plus 50x squared plus 60x. Put it in parentheses to make sure I subtract it. Those cancel out. 30 minus 50 is negative 20x squared minus 60x, which continue on. Did I make a mistake on that last one? 50x, 30, positive 30, positive 50. No, I'm good. Divide this by this is negative 20. And then because there's not a variable here, everything else is going to be a remainder. So it's going to be x cubed minus 5x squared plus 10x minus 20. Go on to the next one, number 6. Same thing, I'm going to factor it out. I'm going to factor this by grouping. When I group these together, I can get out a 9x squared, which leaves me with 2x plus 3. Factor these, I can get a negative 4, which is going to leave me with 2x plus 3. That puts 2x plus 3 in one parentheses and 9x squared minus 4 in another parentheses. That's the difference of two squares. So 3x plus 2, 3x minus 2, and the 2x plus 3 comes down. Down here, I'm going to factor this out. You can use a quadratic formula, you can use multiplication, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to say if I multiply, well, 3 is a prime number, so I know it's going to be 3x and x. And then I need to multiply 3 times 8 is negative 24. Two things that add to the negative 10 and multiply to negative 24. And whatever I find, I need to divide by 3. So really, I'm going to look at, this is going to be minus 4, so that gives me negative 12. And this is going to be plus 2, so that gives me positive 2. Use whatever factoring method you want. So these are the same, they cancel out. My zeros are going to be at negative 3 over 2 from this one, positive 2 over 3 from this one. vertical asymptotes are going to be at x equals, did I lose something? No. X equals 4. 0 is going to come from this right here, which is going to be negative 2/3. Horizontal asymptote, higher on top than on bottom, so I don't have one. Slant asymptote, I got to do the long division. So 18x cubed plus 27x squared minus 8x minus 12 divided by 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Divide this by this, gives me 6x. Multiply it down. 6x cubed minus 60x squared minus 48x. Put it in parentheses, make sure I subtract it. Whoops, that should have been 18. Come on, Lothamer. Subtract those down, they cancel. Negative 27 minus negative 60 is going to be positive 87x squared. Negative 8x minus negative is going to be plus 40x. And then bring down the negative 12. Divide this by this. 87 over 3 is going to be plus 29. And everything else is going to be a remainder, so it doesn't matter. So my slant asymptote is y equals 6x plus 29. On to the solving. Solving, what I need to do is get a common denominator. They already have one, so I'm going to multiply everything in this by x minus 2. When I distribute that, it's going to cancel there, and cancel there. And most of you guys, I think you did that right. What most of you guys forgot to do is that now that I have x plus 1 minus, I need to put this in parentheses because this whole thing is being subtracted. So x minus 3x is negative 2x. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. I add 1. Negative 2x equals 5, and I divide by negative 2. X equals negative 5 over 2. And I want to put it in Batman's. That's it for that one. My restriction is x cannot be 2, which is not my solution, so it doesn't matter. The next one, I got to find a common denominator. If I factor this out, it gives me x plus 2, x plus 1. So this one has both of these, which means I don't need to multiply this one at all. What I do need to do is I need to multiply this by x plus 1. And when I multiply the denominator, I need to multiply the numerator as well. So I'm going to have x plus 1 times x minus 1 over x squared plus 3x plus 2. Plus, I need to multiply this one by x plus 2. If I multiply the denominator, I need to multiply the numerator. Oops. X plus 3 times x plus 2. And this one doesn't change. I'm going to expand this. This is going to give me x squared minus 1 over x squared plus 3x plus 2. I'm going to expand this. It's going to give me x squared plus 5x plus 6 over x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals x minus 3 over x squared plus 3x plus 2. I'm going to multiply everything in here by x squared plus 3x plus 2, which is going to leave me with x squared minus 1 plus x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals x minus 3. Combine like terms, that gives me 2x squared plus 5x plus 5 equals x minus 3. Subtract the x, 2x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals negative 3. Add the 3, 2x squared plus 4x plus 8 equals 0. I'm going to multiply by 1/2. X squared plus 2x plus 4 equals 0. I can't factor this, so I'm going to use the quadratic formula. And I'm just going to simplify. Negative 8 is going to be negative 1, which gives me an I, times 4, which square root of 4 is 2, times the square root of 2. Oh, that shouldn't be that. That should be 12. Whoops. Come on, Lothamer. So 4 gives me a 2, negative 1 gives me an I, square root of 3 over 2. Both of these are divisible by 2, so I'm going to have negative 1 plus or minus I square roots of 3. And that's the whole quiz. So that's how long it should have taken us, maybe even a little bit faster, guys. So if you have questions, bring them in.